Well, I'm glad you're saying that, because I was getting ready to buy an Amazon refurbished.
Yeah, hold on, yeah.
Not good, Paul?
Pulls up windows.
Yeah, I can get Windows, but I can get the desktop, you know, when it first comes on, but I can't get onto, it will not hook up to my Wi-Fi.
All right, everyone, is everybody ready to get started?
Yes.
Is Nova there tonight or Christine?
I'm here. Christine's here.
Okay, Christine. All right, this time we're gonna call the meeting of April 20th, 2020 to order. Councilmember Lenore, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes. Salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Resendez?
Present.
Vice Mayor Spencer?
Present.
Mayor Glassman?
Here.
Councilmember Lenore?
Present.
Interim City Manager Miller?
Present.
City Attorney Epperson?
Here.
And the record will, Interim Police Chief Reynoso?
Here.
The agenda for the City of Hollister City Council regular meeting of April 20th, 2020 was posted on the bulletin board on April 17th, 2020 at 3:45 p.m. for Government Code Section 54954.2.
Thank you. We're gonna move to the consent agenda. Are there any items council would like to pull?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to pull items A1 and A6, please.
A1, A6. Okay, is there a motion, is there any speaker cards on any of these items, other items?
No, Mr. Mayor, I too was going to pull item A1.
I'm sorry?
I wanted to pull item A1 as well.
Okay. All right. Is there a motion?
I move that we adopt the consent agenda outside of item A1 and A6. That we approve, excuse me.
I lost you there, Carol. Say it
I-
again.
I'm-
A1 and you pulled A1, A6, correct?
That's correct.
It looks like we lost audio within the chamber, so I can't hear anything in there either.
She's wearing her mask.
Hang on. I move that we approve the consent agenda outside of items 1 and 6.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. We'll go to item A1.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, A1, there was an error in F15. While the staff request was to withdraw the HDA activities downtown at this time, the actual minutes show that it was adopted. So I've since changed that to show withdrawn. So that is the correction on the April 6th minutes.
Thank you. Councilmember Sanders, you had a comment also?
Yeah, that was one of my comments, and then my other one I discussed with the city clerk as well. Councilmember Richmond, it states that he was absent. I was just wondering if it should at this point say that District 4 is vacant.
Yeah, we had an issue with our agenda software company. We just got that fixed this week. So it now shows District 4 as vacant, and he no longer shows up in the voting. So that should be taken care of on our next sets of minutes starting with tonight.
Okay, thank you. Is there any speaker cards on this?
I have no speaker cards.
Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion that we adopt the minutes as corrected. A1 and A6.
Well, A6 not yet, but A1, is there the motion? Is there a second?
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We'll move to item A6. Mr. Resendez, you pulled this?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Oh, A6, I'm sorry. Yes, so I just wanted to say that I'm a major supporter of this event. I make time out of my schedule to go. I'd love to see it happen this year. I just think that right now it's a little bit too early to anticipate whether we're in the middle of a pandemic. We don't know if there's going to be a second wave of it. So I would just like to pull this item for now. I'm glad to see that the staff has everything filled out. So if and when we're ready to bring it back, I'd love to see it come back. But for right now, I think we need to, if there's already, hold the item and hold off on approving it.
Okay, is there any other questions on this item? I'm agreeing with Councilman Resendez on this. I was kind of surprised to see an event be placed on the agenda at this time. I think he's right as far as hopefully by October we're free and clear of this, but I don't want to be in a situation where we're starting to approve other events right now as we have no clear picture of what's going to be happening in the next few months. Do we have any speaker cards on this or any other comments?
No, Mr. Mayor?
Okay. Is there a way to, we don't want to, well, it's kind of hard to date uncertain at this point. How can we handle this? Is future date once we once we get out of the emergency, or what would be your recommendation as city clerk for?
I would request that we just withdraw the item until a later time, and that takes it off completely until we resubmit it.
Okay, so just a motion to withdraw the item?
Yes, please.
Okay. Mr. Resendez, would you like to make a motion on that?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll make a motion to withdraw item A6 from the agenda.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
It's a motion, second. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. Thank you all. So we're going to go to item C, public input. Christine, is there something else you want to read on this, or do you want me to read what we usually read out on this?
If you could go ahead and read, because I do have people in the public, or in the council chambers today, as well as
Okay.
some online, I believe, so.
Great, thank you. All right, this is a time for anyone in the audience to speak on any item not on the agenda and within the subject matter jurisdiction of the council. Speakers' cards are available in the lobby and are to be completed and given to the city clerk before speaking. When the city clerk calls your name, please come to the podium, state your name and city for the record, and speak to the city council. Each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes with a maximum of 30 minutes per subject. Please note that state law prohibits the city council from discussing or taking action on any item not on the agenda. Okay, who are our speakers?
I have received written correspondence from John Freeman, Heather Hickerson, Steve Hickerson, Christina Soto, and Bill Lee, who I believe is going to comment as well. So, my first speaker here in the public is Elias Salinas.
Good evening. Title II of the Hollister Municipal Code Administrative and Personnel Chapters 2.08.6060 Relations to City Council. The City Council and its members shall deal with the administrative services of the city only through the city manager, except for the purposes of inquiring, and neither the city council nor any member thereof shall give orders to any subordinate of the city manager. The city manager shall take his or her orders and instructions from the city council only when a duly held meeting of the city council, and no individual city council member shall give any orders or instructions to the city manager. Government Code Section 34903, the mayor is a member of the city council and has all the powers and duties as a member of the city council. 36936, resolutions and orders of payments of money and all ordinance require a recorded majority vote and other membership of the city council. 37100, the legislative body may pass ordinances not in conflict with the Constitution and the laws of the state of the United States. 3711, in addition to other powers, a legislative body may perform all acts necessary or proper to carry out provisions of this title. In an interview with Benito Link, Mayor Velasquez was quoted to state that he has employees currently working, and it is okay for his employees to work because only they are able to do social distancing. However, when it comes to the city of Hollister and to the county of San Benito, he claims that all construction sites, I don't care what you say, people will work next to each other. I believe he's being hypocritical in an effort that he's stopping all construction of affordable housing in the city of Hollister, as well as going with the county of San Benito, while he himself is making money and abiding apparently by whatever laws he seems deemed for the county, but not for himself or his company. I also request that in a future agenda, you bring forward to postpone the motorcycle rally, because I don't believe that it's been brought up before, and I don't want to see any staff time or money going towards a rally that needs to be postponed. Thank you.
Next speaker.
I don't see. Okay. Any of the attendees or anyone teleconferencing that may want to speak for public comment, please raise your hand. I have Bill Lee. Bill, go ahead.
Ladies and gentlemen of the City Council of Hollister, my name is Bill Lee. Some of you may know me as the founder of a national shutter company that employed roughly 100 persons and was headquartered here in Hollister for nearly 30 years. Others may know me currently as the executive director of Martha's Kitchen, San Jose-based soup kitchen that provides 100,000 free meals each year to several of Hollister's nonprofits. If it were not for the current COVID-19 pandemic, I would be addressing you in person at tonight's meeting. I would like to see Councilwoman Honor Spencer appointed to the open position on the General Plan Advisory.
I'm sorry, I gotta hold you up there. That is an item on the agenda. That's not for public input. That would be later in the agenda.
That is
Okay,
correct.
I thought I had to speak now.
Yeah, no, that would be, I believe that's an item we're discussing down,
Let me
I'll
try
find
to
out.
explain that
but
again.
it's
I'm sorry, Bill.
later in the agenda.
Great,
Yeah,
thank
so
you.
I'll call
Do we have any
later.
other speakers?
Is there anyone in the attendees that would like to speak on any item that is not on the agenda? If there is anything that is not on the agenda that you want to speak on, please raise your hand. I have Kevin Henderson.
Brian.
Good evening, Council. I'm here to advocate for all the businesses that are currently shut down in this time. I know it's getting hard for a lot of people. I know the county has to do what it has to do to protect the health of the people, but I just want to pose a couple questions. When you go to the grocery store, it's very crowded. It's crowded in there, but everyone's practicing social distancing, and then soon, everyone's going to be wearing masks. And so social distancing either works or it doesn't. If social distancing works in a grocery store, then why can't it work in our businesses that are considered non-essential now? So I just wanted to pose that question. I think we need a little bit of balance. I mean, the mayor was giving a Facebook Live and, saying, no, we have to stop the spread and, we have to do this until, it's completely gone. I don't think the virus is going to disappear completely. We need to be realistic here. So at some point, somebody's going to have to say, it's time to go back to work. Someone needs to make that call. So, I mean, I understand that the county's going to do what it's going to do, but, I mean, you as a city council, look out for your businesses. Advocate for them. It's, you know, you should be the ones saying to the county, look, we're suffering here. So I'm just asking for a little bit of balance, a little bit of pushback. And, you know, Mayor, you claim that you're a Republican. Why don't you stick it to the governor? You know, the governor's, you know, advocating this huge shutdown. And so I'm asking that, you know, stand up for the people. Let's not just go along with everything. Let's have a little bit of pushback. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Kevin.
I have no more speakers, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. We're going to move to item D1, report from city manager.
Nothing to report right now.
How about D2?
Nothing, we have no items.
Okay, we're going to move to item D1, public hearing.
Just one moment, please. It'll be, city engineer desktop. Go ahead, Jim.
Good evening, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good evening. This item is related to introduction of an ordinance for removal of the authority of tentative map approvals from the Planning Commission and having that those duties charged to the City Council. On September 3rd, 2019, the City Council adopted a resolution 2019-206 directing staff to amend the City of Hollister Municipal Code to provide a procedure to remove the authority of tentative map approvals from the Planning Commission and charge those duties to the City of Hollister City Council. Staff has prepared the necessary ordinance to amend the municipal code to accomplish that directive for City Council consideration. If adopted, this new policy will provide the current City Council as well as future City Councils with the flexibility to designate either the Planning Commission as the approval authority of tentative maps or to reserve and return unto itself, the City Council, all or a portion of the powers and duties otherwise vested in a Planning Commission by simply adopting a resolution. Staff recommends the City Council read by title only, waive full reading, and introduce an ordinance of the City of Hollister amending Title 16, Subdivisions, Title 2, Administration and Personnel, and Title 17, Zoning of the City of Hollister Municipal Code, and direct staff to schedule a second reading and adoption of the ordinance for the May 4th, 2020 City Council meeting.
Danny, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
A quick question for you. I'm a little confused. I see the item here saying that it removes the authority, the tentative maps from the Planning Commission to the City Council, but I thought I heard you say that, or it can go back to the Planning Commission. So which way is it?
Well, what will happen, the policy will be placed in the municipal code, and you will be able, the City Council will be able to adopt a resolution to either have the authority to approve tentative maps placed with the City Council, or if the City Council, current or future City Councils, were to change their mind, instead of going back through the process of amending the municipal code through ordinances, you would simply just need to adopt a resolution. It's just for ease of simplicity for processing.
But wasn't the whole intent was to make sure that that decision was going to end up at the council rather than what was happening before. That was the idea. So why wouldn't we be doing it, changing the code so it's permanent instead of going back and forth on it? Because I can see in this case, it might end up where for a while it's one way and then it goes back to the other way. So the idea was that that final decision would rest on a city council rather than going back and forth. So it seems kind of vague from what I heard you say. So I just want more clarity on that.
Okay, and if that's the case, that the city council would like that change to be made so that it's permanent, and in the future, if there is a different council and they want to change it and they want to go back to ordinance, that modification can be made, and when we come back for the second reading, that change could be made.
So we can make that change today so that on the second reading, that's the way it would be then.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the desire of the council, that's just the direction that you give me, and I'd make that change.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted some clarity on that. Is there any other questions from council?
Yes.
Councilmember Lenore?
Actually, I don't have any questions. I have comment. Or do you want comments now or just questions?
I think questions now, and then we could open up for public hearing.
Okay, okay. I'll hold
You
my
make
comment.
comments.
I'll hold my comment. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions or comments? All right, this time we're going to open the public hearing. Do we have any speakers?
I have no speaker cards, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, this time we're going to close the public hearing. Take it back to the council. Councilmember Lenore, you had a comment?
Yes. I think I recall, this was shortly after I got appointed onto the council. I was pretty sure I voted no on that resolution. I think it was a 4-1 vote. I'll just tell you this, that I was on the planning commission for 6 years and I worked in planning for 30 years. You really need the planning commission to have as much oversight on city projects as possible. You're condensing, you're going to have less say. You're losing less say. I've been watching it since I've been on here, and you're losing, and you're losing, and you're losing. You really need those tentative maps to stay at the council level. You know, nothing prohibits somebody from appealing an approval to the planning commission, to the city council, to overturn. But I just don't like the fact that the planning commission is being circumvented. They're planners. I have a lot of respect for that process. So, yes, I'll be having to not be able to endorse this just because I was on the planning commission, and I like it the way it is. I think they're a good advisory board for the council, and I really don't want to see any more politicizing the planning commission. It's been seeping in, and it wasn't like that when I was on there, but it's been seeping in, and that makes me sad. Thank you very much.
Okay, just for clarity on your comments, are you talking about the tentative part of it or just the whole process? I didn't.
Oh, just
you were
tentative
breaking up when
maps.
You were explaining it.
We're talking about tentative map approvals.
The tentative map approval, okay.
Yes.
All right, any other questions or comments?
Yes.
From council?
Yes.
If I can, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to weigh in.
Go ahead, Councilmember Resendez.
I also, Kara, I had a hard time hearing you. But just going back, I don't remember, I had to call staff and ask about this, but if I remember correctly, this was brought up, and the intention was to give the council a little bit more authority over like the final approval of tentative maps. And if I recall correctly, I don't remember what the vote was, but I think we went, like, the majority of us wanted to see this. So I am pretty confused too, and I've been going back and forth with staff all day over it because it seems like it's not very clear. If the intention was to, in fact, give the final approval process of tentative maps to the council, then that's what I'd like to see in front of us. If in the future it changes, then it needs to be changed then, but I would be very much in favor of having it come back to the council as requested by the mayor. Thank you.
I think at this point, if I understand Danny right, we can make the motion to include that language. So on the second reading, it would be in the second reading that would have that desired effect. Correct, Danny?
Yes, I believe so that you can direct me to change the ordinance, such that I would take that provision out that would allow flexibility to the council to adopt a resolution to either place the authority with the planning commission or to place it with the city council. Yes, you can direct me to remove that, and when I come back for the second reading and the actual adoption of the ordinance, that you could do it at that time.
Okay. Is there any other questions or comments from council members? Is there a motion to move it in that fashion?
Mr. Mayor, I'll make the motion to adopt the ordinance with an amendment stating that the city council would get the final approval process on tentative map. And that's ordinance number 1189.
Okay. All right. There's a motion. Is there a second? I will second that. There's a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Against?
Aye.
Aye.
And motion does not carry. We're going to move on to item F1.
Mayor, can I request if, it's going to probably be like this on any other future agendas also, but if it goes 2-2, it gets automatically moved over to the next agenda. Can I get a consensus to withdraw it from a future agenda?
That would be fine. Is there a consensus on that?
Yes.
Yes.
I agree with that.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for that.
No, thank
We're
you.
going to move to item F1.
So we have the Deputy Director of Health and Human Services here to give a presentation on the homeless shelter. So I'll have Enrique give that presentation to the council.
Thank you very much, City Council members and members of the public. My name is Enrique Arriola. I am Deputy Director for Health and Human Services Agency with the County of San Benito. And the purpose of this meeting is to give you an update on the Home Resource Center and also to ask for a contribution for the operations of the year-round shelter. As you are aware, thank you. As I reported in the past, this is, I want to say, my second or third meeting that I've been before you making this type of request, and I'm hoping that today there's a level of action. The Housing Opportunities, Meals, and Empowerment Resource Center, otherwise referred to the Home Resource Center, held its grand opening in December of 2017. And when we opened, we budgeted for the operating budget of $617,000, which we've maintained around that range. And those funds were fund developed by our department with the county. And I would also say that that year, towards the end of the first year, we came before the city council here, and you did award $130,000 for the operations during year one, so that we are very thankful. It is in good use. It went towards the operations of the whole shelter. There's still a need for funding of, let me change this because I haven't done that.
Flip the remote around
Oh, okay.
and then aim towards Christine.
Move it there, Enrique. There you go.
And you might want to see if it's on the side. I'll do it for you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So building the shelter is one thing, and it took an enormous amount of effort. We fundraised about $1.9 million, and we still need their support. It's extremely difficult to fundraise every year, $600 and something thousand. So a continued support of the shelter is very important. We have, as the operator, Community Homeless Solutions, since they been managing the center back in 2017. The Home Resource Center is the first ever year-round emergency homeless shelter in San Benito County. The center has a maximum of 50 beds. 28 are earmarked for males and 22 for females. And on a daily basis, all guests receive 3 meals per day. There's a bed provided to them. There's access to showers. There's also activities that are planned. There are supportive services. There's partnerships with different organizations. There's a security provided for the safety of everyone. And there's also access to a laundry room, and there's also a kitchen available for prepping food and warming up meals. Here going back to this one. Actually, you can move on to the next one. It also has the figures. So this is a diagram. The bottom portion, light pink, is the shelter. As I said, it cost $1.9 million. And that's what we consider phase one. Phase two is $1.5 million what it took. It's been completed. We held the grand opening back in May of 2019. There's a computer lab, there's a conference room for workshops, and there's offices for the social workers to do intensive case management. So there's a lot of activity going on a daily basis. The back piece, the yellow portion, is it's dedicated towards small units, 200 square feet. Our goal is to get about 6 to 8 units. This went to bidding, and I believe there's some contractors that bid for it, so we're still in the process of making this happen, and we hope that this time next year, even before that, this phase 3 gets completed. On next slide, I wanted just to give a quick update of the work that goes on a daily basis. So this is the monthly attendance report for 2019. So as you could see, the average daily attendance is 44.27. So 44 homeless individuals that would otherwise be out in the streets, sleep out in the streets, be at the parks, roam around in the evening times and the weekends. So we facilitate this shelter to allow them to be at a place where they're going to be safe. We served over 100 unduplicated clients in 2019. For a total of duplicated guests, 13,427. So we provided a lot of individuals with nightly beds for them to remain there throughout the year. There's a total meals provided, 36,260, which is quite substantial. It's an enormous undertaking for the staff at Community Homeless Solutions to plan for this, for community-based organizations, for churches, for community volunteers that sponsor meals. We depend on many organizations and residents for helping with meals to feed our homeless individuals that matter to all of us. There's about 70 or so individuals from 2018 and 2019 that have been successful in obtaining housing, and a little over 50 obtained employment. Next slide. So I wanted to give you a glimpse of the budget for 2018. So in 2018, we applied our 2016 CDBG allocation of $200,000 for the operations. We also received an emergency solutions grant in the amount of $100,000. This is the year that the City of Hollister contributed $130,000. And we also covered our gap funding of $187,000 that the San Benito County HHSA contributed for a total of $617,000. Next slide. So in 2019, we had $150,000 secured by a grant, continuum of care grant, $150,000, and the county contributed $450,000. So that year, around $600,000 that we budgeted. And next slide. So this come around this year, we've been very active in fund developing for this year and years to come. So we're in the process right now of completing and submitting the CDBG 2020 application that is due June the 1st. We did submit a homeless housing assistance and prevention program in February 2019. A few weeks ago, we did receive notification from the state of being funded, and the contract is being moved forward for board approval, so hopefully we have access to those funds. We applied for 250,000 or so, which we will apply towards a 2-year period. So we would have access at least for half of that this year. And Community Homeless Solutions applied for a grant that's CASH, California Emergency Solutions Grant, of 150,000, which has been secured. So we've been active, and right now our need is about 450. So I am with getting the homeless housing assistance and prevention program, will be a lot closer to that. And if City Council does approve funding, then we would be like almost at even. Next slide, please. So here, I just wanted to, the things that have been happening in the spirit of partnership to continue to collaborate with the city. That happens with the school districts. San Juan Bautista, we hold, every other month we hold local partners meetings, and there are city reps that does show up from San Juan Bautista, nonprofit organizations, county departments. So I think that's important to continue so that we all understand the different services that are being provided. I think it's also important that the city prioritize future CDBG funds, and that is happening. So I'm very, very grateful. City Hollister is submitting the public service application of CDBG, and $200,000 or $250 is being earmarked for that. So if funded, next year, hopefully those funds will come forth. And we also feel that there's a need for day services. Right now, there's no day services provided. So I think having that resource, it'll help our homeless population, our homeless community, be engaged also during the day hours. And also for San Benito County to continue to be proactive in fund developments, which we're always consistently working on fund developing, not only for the operations, but other homeless-related services. And just to maintain active engagement in the Homeless Planning Committee. And again, thank you very much for your support with $130,000 a couple of years ago, and I'm hoping that our request of $250,000 is approved by the City Council. And my goal is to be whole funded, but also to continue operations as we are. And if someday in the future we have even more funds, we could do a 24/7. And right now it's only between the hours of 4 p.m. and 8 a.m. However, because of the of COVID-19 and shelter in place, right now we're 24 hours a day, and we'll continue to do so until the order is fully lifted. Next slide. So that concludes it. If you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Thank you for the update, Enrique. Is there any questions from council?
Yes,
Go ahead, Councilman Lenore.
thank you. Hi, Enrique.
Hello.
I'm glad you're here tonight.
I'm glad to be here.
I've had a lot of soul searching the last few months on this issue. I've come to the realization that we have to do something. I want to know about day services because I have ulterior motive for approving this money. I'll just be honest. Not just that I want to help the homeless, but I got a big issue in my district. In my district, I have Dunn Park, Park Hill, Calaveras, and downtown. I will have to oversee all that. And I don't like what I'm seeing for a very long time now, so I want to know, when you said I think that it may help, the day services might help, what do you really think that is it going to help me? And will I have more teeth if we get your program up and going and you add day services and you add 8 transitional trailers there? Do I have, maybe you can't answer this, and maybe I'll direct it to Brett. Does that give me a little more say-so about having somebody vacated from, let's say, Dunn Park? Do you know?
What I could say is that this is a solution that requires full partnership. The county itself requires additional partnerships, such as the city. If we had day services, what that'll mean, I think, in practicality, is we'll have 50 homeless individuals that remain. The goal is for them to remain at the shelter. Right now, this is how we are operating because of the shelter in place. So if once it gets lifted, we're gonna go back to our system that we've incorporated for the last 2.5 years, which is at 8 a.m., they get transported back to different areas within the city of Hollister. In the evening at 4 o'clock or so, they get picked up. So that to me makes sense for our homeless community at the shelter, up to 50, to remain at the shelter, being in an environment that's structured with supportive staff, supportive services, being engaged. That to me makes sense. And not only that, it enhances their health and well-being, and they will have the opportunity to be more sober for those that have some issues, linking them to services, and for staff to continue to work with them so that they could be more employable, have different workshops, different training. So that is, in my opinion, would help a lot. As far as continuing to address other needs in our community, I'd say we should continue this dialogue.
Well, I agree with you 110%. And maybe it's out of your control what I'm talking about, but I am concerned when they're dropped off here. If you could not drop them off in the city parks, I don't know where you drop them off. Maybe I should find out. But absolutely, they should never be dropped off or picked up from a city park. That's just a magnet. It's a magnet.
Yeah. And
we're dying out here in our parks. We cannot have, I'm not going to get too hard on you, but please, it's a dire situation. I'm hoping that we'll do some more day services. And you're right, it would be good to retain the ones that are doing well. And I'll have future talks with my interim city manager about we have an issue in the parks, and we would like to partner with the county to somehow help us with day services. And I know the mayor's worked on some projects with you. We really gotta don't lose sight of that, because if we're not, we're gonna have homeless all the time where they are not really getting the best of care. You're correct. So I have a lot of empathy for the homeless, but I also have a lot of empathy for folks that are having to live with homeless across the street in their park. And it's not vacating. It gets better, gets not good, then it's good. So that's one of the reasons that I'm looking forward to working with the county on the homeless shelter at the time, the length of the time I'm on here. But let's try to do some day services and see what we can do for the folks that you're not getting.
Yeah,
you're not getting, and they're in the river.
Yep.
We got to do something to work on that. Okay,
absolutely. If I could just say real quick, Elizabeth
Okay.
King is here, and I think she's going to make some comments so she could address the drop-offs.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I know we've addressed it before, and
Okay.
my understanding is that no longer they're dropped off at Dump Park.
Okay. And then my last comment is that I would respectfully request, very respectfully request, that the county, through their board of supervisors, budget some funds, general fund dollars or whatever you want to use, to come out of their budget, since the city of Hollister residents are now going to pay maybe $250,000. I'd like to see the county chip in as well if they need to budget for it. I understand that. I would only obligate myself for this one time, because I don't want to speak for the next person that comes along. But I would really like to see the county also pay money. And I know you do a lot of in-kind, but money talks, and it takes money to run that shelter. So that would be a good partnership. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Carol. Very good comments, and thank you for those comments. Are there any other comments from the council?
I have a question and a comment, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead, Councilor Hernandez.
Thank you. Enrique, hello. I
Hi.
noticed during your presentation that the city did not partner with you in 2019. why was there not any money allocated back then? Is there a specific reason?
I came before city council, I don't remember the exact date, maybe in September-ish, October or so, and there was no action taken. I came back a couple months later and the same no action. For one reason to another, we find ourselves, April, and we're still trying to get your support.
But you weren't at the last meeting.
Well, prior to that, I had requested to be here and too numerous times, and I was not scheduled after I was told I would be.
Thank you, Enrique. And then lastly, I just want to applaud all the work that you guys are doing. I've gone down there multiple times.
Yeah.
I think now, especially now, we have an obligation to provide for the most vulnerable of our population, the children, senior citizens, and the homeless. So I'm glad to see this ordinance be before us, and I definitely would be supporting it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Enrique,
Yes.
I just want to say thank you to you and the staff and everyone that's made this thing such a success. It's a model on the Central Coast, and several other people have come to visit. Some great things are happening here. As with all centers, it's tough to make it perfect, but really, you guys have done an incredible job for it. I can't thank you enough for sticking with it and for everybody that's making this work here. Maybe I could ask one favor while we're talking about this, and maybe something you can bring back to your board. But the driving force originally behind this whole thing was Jim Riding's store. I hope someday we can honor him with his name on that building somewhere. So I just, again, thank you for everything you guys have done.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
I have a comment, Mayor Velasquez, sorry.
Go ahead. Counselor.
Good one. Enrique, I do. I am so happy that you guys have done this for the homeless. But I have a concern about the amount of money. $250,000 to be allocated right now is a lot of money. We are in a health crisis. This community, especially our small businesses and other people in our community, are going to need help too. I'm actually going to take the words, they are not word for word, but on our April 6th meeting, Mayor Velasquez stated that he was not giving any money to any nonprofits because we need to keep every penny that we could get our hands on, because we're going to need it when this is over. I want to support you, but not at $250,000, not now. We just really need to look at the future. I understand your program is an amazing one, but we are going to be in some kind of a crisis after this crisis is lifted. And I think we really need to think about everybody, just not the homeless. We need to think about small businesses. We need to think about everybody in San Benito County and Hollister. I just have a problem with $250,000. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Just for clarity, so we're clear on my comment. When we're talking about giving money to nonprofit groups, as in the past, you probably weren't there at the time where money was just put out to different groups, all worthy causes. We now provide money for Jóvenes de Antaño, a very important group that helps our seniors, which is critically important. And our homeless situation that helps our homeless is critically important. They have a budget they have to meet each year to keep these operations going, to feed our seniors, and to house our homeless. This is more of a direct cost, and you can imagine what the cost would be without these facilities. So my comment is not about not supporting, it's about making sure we're putting dollars on these items that make a huge difference, very, very important difference. Not that we don't want to help some of the other groups, but this is completely different. So thank you. Any other comments?
I can make my final comment. I just wanted to say that this is an enormous undertaking that we took. The Community Homeless Solutions has been a true champion in being an effective organization with a lot of experience. I do want to say I don't see it as, asking for money and contributing to us. I think it's a partnership. We cannot do this ourselves. It has to be a partnership, and that's the cost of doing business. It costs 600 plus, and there's staff, several staff on each shift. There's security all year long. There's a lot of expenses, but I wanted just to let you know that we're doing a lot of good. Community Homeless Solutions is doing an excellent job. And if we're to take a drive right now, you'll see a lot of happy people. They're eating, they're safe, they're gonna sleep in a warm bed tonight. So I just want to make a couple of comments and also to thank you in advance. We hope that this contribution is made, hopefully annually in that amount for future years. So thank you.
Thank you. Enrique, and that's exactly it. This and Jose Antonio should just be part of our budget because they are the partnerships we need to keep, as I said, our seniors taken care of and our homeless sheltered. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Do we have any comment cards, Christine?
I have no comment cards, but it looks like Elia would like to speak.
I just have a question for Enrique. Can you tell us how much the county, is there an equal amount coming from the county as well? That's the only question I have. Thank you.
Annually, the county has developed hundreds and thousands of dollars towards the operations. We've been successful. Year one, I showed the funding allocations for the different categories. Right now, we've secured at least $200,000. We're waiting for the contracts. Every year, we fund develop for many, many years. We fundraise $1.4 million for phase 2 of the facility. We've received recently a $1.61 million for housing for homeless individuals, for permanent housing and transitional housing. We received a $1.1 million from HEAP, actually $1.86, of which 1.1 is being dedicated for transitional housing and the remainder for rental assistance and other supportive services. So if I look at my annual budget right now for homeless services with these capital projects, we're talking about $3 million or more. And that includes funding for operations. So we as a staff dedicate time, energy towards planning, towards fund developing, towards addressing our homeless needs in our community because we feel it's important.
Thank you, Enrique. Okay. No other comments?
I have one more, Elizabeth King.
Go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Elizabeth King. I serve as the program coordinator at the Home Resource Center here in Hollister, California. As the director, Enrique Ariola, mentioned, we are serving around the clock presently due to COVID and shelter in place. Effective March 17th, we went 24 hours, 7 days a week, which increased the need for our staff. We do have 2 staff members per shift, 3 shifts, as well as a floater between 4 and 8, along with security 7 days a week now, where the need was a lot less for staff. We also have an increased meal plan. We went from just supplying dinner and a snack and carrying them away with well wishes and a lunch on their way out at 8 a.m. We're now, thanks to Martha's Kitchen and different partnerships and the different dignitaries and giving community members, we are given a lot of assistance in serving. We are serving 3 square meals, 2 snacks. We do provide them their showers, their laundry services, their access to the kitchen, There's a lot of need. I was focusing on the numbers that Enrique shared. He did share a graphic that stated that in 2019, individuals were able to find employment in the count of around 50. And you had asked what the impact is right now with our 24-hour, 7-day-a-week care. I'd like to share that just in these recent weeks, we were able to help 5 individuals find employment at this point in time. 2 were able to find housing. And I strongly believe that alone is, we're hitting great heights. We're able to dedicate more time, more one-on-one time. We're able to go from just providing a service, but we're also helping with transitional care. There's more attention. There's more one-on-one encouragement. There's a lot of time right now that allows for us to sit down with each and every guest to find out what their plans are and what their goals are, which we weren't able to do between 4:30 p.m. into the 8 o'clock morning where we were sending them off to day services. And that's very impactful. I have 28 seconds, so I will answer your question as to where we're dropping off and picking up. As of right now, we are not picking up and dropping off. We are encouraging no exit. But prior to SIP, we were driving individuals into town at drop-off locations in front of the Straw Hat, in front of Baylor Market, and we were doing pickups at Linda Lambe's.
Good. May
Thank
she
you.
continue, Mayor?
Say again, please.
May she continue, please? She's almost done.
You're almost done, go ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate that. So I do believe strongly, based on the different growth, impactful growth that has happened with all the hands-on care, that the additional funding will make a difference, not just for the 50 existing, but it will be the ripple in the great wave that we're trying to make to improve our homelessness, which would eliminate individual by individual. As we start impacting lives, I strongly believe that people at the river and people at the park will see that growth and will be encouraged to come to the Home Resource Center. And I'm very grateful for the time that I was given to speak. And I'm very grateful for the different partnerships that we have. And I'm completely humbled to serve at Community Homeless Solutions here in our town. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Excuse me, just a second. So just clarify, they're not going to the parks?
No, ma'am.
All right, so just Baylor Market and Straw Hat?
Correct.
They do congregate there?
Correct.
Okay, thank you so
You're-
much.
you're
And I
very
really
welcome.
appreciate everything. Don't get me wrong, all right? I'm just concerned about the parks
Yes, ma'am.
and downtown. Thank
Yes,
you.
ma'am.
Thank you.
Councilman Lenore, I did want to answer, I think one of those points you're making is very valid, concerning, is some of the people at the park, well, I would say most of the people that do hang around the park do not go to the shelter.
Right.
For different reasons, just so you're aware of that.
I'm very aware of that. Very
Thank-
aware of that.
okay,
Thank you.
Is there any more comments?
If I can, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Resendez?
Thank you. Yeah, I just want to reiterate that we're in the middle of a public health crisis, and for us to try to rationalize lowering the amount of money, it's just going to contribute to the crisis at hand. These people, they need somewhere safe to go. They need somewhere clean to go, and not to mention that we live, right next to the Silicon Valley, where it's one of the most expensive places to live. We do have a lot of homelessness, and we do have a lot of people that are working hard to try to resolve those issues. But if we don't provide them these services, and if we don't help to continue to support these services financially, we're going to have a much bigger problem on our hands than what we're seeing now. So I can't wrap my head around trying to rationalize supporting businesses over the public health, safety, and well-being of human beings. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, everyone. At this point, is there a motion?
I move that we adopt resolution. I move that we adopt resolution 2020-77, approving a supplemental appropriation in the amount not to exceed $250,000 to San Benito Health and Human Services for the Homeless Resource Center.
Okay, Thank you. There's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
There's a motion, second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Against?
Unanimous.
Sorry. Was that a 4-0?
Yes.
Yes, that was.
4-0. Okay, motion carries. Thank you. We're going to move to item F2.
Sorry to small businesses.
That's gonna be Kathleen Gallagher, yes? Who is
No
going
problem.
to, speak on that, so Kathleen, please go ahead.
Hi, this is Kathleen Gallagher. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi, Kathleen.
Excellent. How are you?
Good.
I hope everyone is well through this challenging time. I wanted to wish you a good evening. I know most of I've met most of you. The Integrated Waste Management Manager for Hollister, San Juan, and the county. As you might recall, Hollister is a member of a regional agency and a joint powers authority, and joined together with San Juan and the county to cost effectively meet state mandates for solid waste, organics, and household hazardous waste. So Carol Minnie is also on the line on the Zoom call. If you have additional questions, there's the regional controller for Recology. Your agenda packet included the staff report, a public notice, a resolution, and a PowerPoint. And I wanted to briefly go through the PowerPoint and answer any questions that the mayor and council members had. So Christine, I don't know if you have I have the PowerPoint and the agenda, but I don't see it there on your screen.
Give me just a moment, please.
Sure, thanks. And maybe for the sake of time, I can just start, if that's okay, Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead.
Perfect, thank you, Christine. So similar to prior years, the recommendation before the council tonight is to approve the resolution to issue a Proposition 218 public hearing notice about the solid waste rates that are effective on July 1st, 2020. As a quick reminder, the Hollister City Council approved the franchise agreement that was awarded to Recology in 2019 after a competitive procurement. And that franchise agreement included a detailed provision about that annual rate adjustment. That public hearing notice is in your agenda packet. On the second slide, if you see that, the screen, my screen is off a bit. On the second slide, some quick background on the rates that are paid to Recology. The franchise agreement that was approved included that detailed methodology in Section E, and it does explain how Recology can adjust their rates annually. And again, Carol Minnie, the controller, is happy to answer any additional questions. The collection rates pay for the operating costs, such as the Recology's drivers and customer service, processing costs to collect and dispose of the garbage at the John Smith landfill, cost to collect and process organics, and recycling. The programs in the franchise agreement were developed to assist Hollister and San Juan and the county to meet state mandates. Those state mandates for solid waste, organics, and household hazardous waste have increased in complexity and in number. The public notice includes this information that will be available to all Hollister residents and businesses. On the third slide, regarding Proposition 218, at the public hearing, the City Council, and we have looked to schedule this for June 15th, the council would accept public comment regarding this rate increase. And then if at the conclusion of the public hearing, a majority protest of property owners does not exist, the council would adopt the maximum allowable charges as approved in the franchise agreement. One quick note that while the courts have not yet ruled on Proposition 218 and whether they apply to solid waste rates, it was in an abundance of caution that the city as well as San Juan and the county are following the majority protest proceedings set forth in Proposition 218. So again, if the majority protest is received, the council would not be able to increase rates, but if the rates will, but if there is no majority protest, the solid waste rates would increase. And on the fourth slide, the Hollister City Council approved the Recology franchise agreement in 2018. And as you know, it includes several program improvements to meet the state mandates. The franchise agreement includes a provision that provides Recology with the annual rate adjustment and how it affects the solid waste rates. The annual rates are based on the consumer price index and the fuel index. We can go into that in a minute. Those are the primary factors. And then there's also the disposal and processing costs. Again, this is all detailed in the franchise agreement. On the fifth slide, just to bring this into from the hypothetical to the actual, the rate adjustment is 4.5%, and that would be effective July 1st of 2020. Most of Hollister residents have a 32-gallon container or smaller, and it's about 63-64% of Hollister residents have those size containers. So to give the council an idea of what that would look like, the new rate for a 32-gallon container would be $32.69, which is a $1.40 per month increase. And then for residents with a 20-gallon container, the new rate is $27.24, which is an increase of $1.14 per month. The public notice includes tables that include all sizes, and those tables on the public notice look like this on slide 6, if you can see. So again, a quick example for Hollister, with a 32-gallon container, wanted to simply give you an example of what that $1.40 would break into in terms of operating costs. Please let me know if this is too much detail, and I can certainly move over this, but I wanted to just give an example of what this looks like. $1.40 of that increase really breaks into 3 main categories. For example, 81 cents of that increase simply covers the operating expenses like wages and benefits, fuel and maintenance. Those are related directly to the indexes that are in the franchise agreement, like the CPI and the fuel index. $1.47 is to cover increases in recycling processing fees and disposal fees. One thing to note about China has implemented a Chinese national sword, which requires basically no contamination, meaning things that are not supposed to be in the recycling have to get removed, and they have become extremely strict on contamination. We're working closely with Recology to do a lot of public education around contamination. The intent is to try and get our recyclables as clean as possible, so it could possibly reduce our processing costs. And then there was a 88 cents is a reduction in rates that is as a result of Recology's diversion rates results. They didn't meet their requirement, therefore there was some liquidated damages, and that has actually helped offset some of these rate costs. And then real quickly, the annual rate adjustment, this is what the annual rates look like with the CPI and the fuel index. This is where the rates, the components that are charged and where the 4.5% increase comes from. And I'm happy to go into this in detail if you would prefer. I did want to say one note that for Recology, they are helping businesses during this challenging time regarding COVID-19 by suspending service upon request. So if a business calls Recology because their business is closed, they would simply need to contact Recology and ask them to suspend their service and not have their business be billed. Recology is continuing to provide service to customers. They are not stopping service due to a no payment. And then, as always, Recology is providing this lifeline service, which is reduced rates for low-income people. Carl Minnie is on the line. If the mayor and city council have questions, I'm happy to answer those.
Does the council have questions?
I'll wait until after. I don't have any questions.
Till after, I'm sorry.
I'll wait till the public hearing after.
Oh, the June 15th
Yeah.
public hearing?
I don't, no, tonight's. Go ahead, Mayor, I have no comments right now.
No, here's the comment I have is, we're talking about CPI and the C of 4.5, but the CPI is 1.5. You remember last year I wasn't very happy about these increases so quickly, and I'm not happy seeing a 4.5 increase either, again. So these are the same questions or concerns I had from last year. That's my comment.
I'll comment now then.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Councilman Lenore.
I don't take increases lightly. I gave it a lot of thought. There is one area, I thought that the commercial multifamily bin went up considerably at $12.89. I don't struggle so much with a single family dwelling incurring $1.40 more a month. And I'll tell you why. I'm really proud of the integrated waste department and the measures that they've been incorporating for the last several years. These folks have done an incredible job in the way of recycling. Electronics is free. There's so much free dumping now at the county dump that they didn't used to have that. Then again, they do have to go to all the extra efforts of cleaning that and recycling up. It's a big operation. They have a lot of federal mandates running a dump. I know it's a little bit hard to talk about an increase right now, but $1.40, I don't think is gonna break anybody, and it's really going towards good things because they do a fantastic job. You have curbside pickup. They never used to do that. You put out a bulky item, they take bulky item, hazardous items, electronics, and they don't charge you anything. You take them. There's a lot of services maybe you're not aware of. So I feel like I wouldn't mind the small increase. I'm struggling with the bin size, that last bin size. I don't know if there's any room to wiggle there. But I think things go up in price. We live in a society that is always going up, and it's expensive to provide services. There's a lot of things that come with services. And you're talking about people, employees, benefits. It's not just doing the job, it's the cost that it's cost to do the job. So those are my comments, and I would probably, based on what anybody else says, I'll see. I'm considering it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Lenore. Any other questions, comments?
I have a comment.
Go ahead.
Kathleen, is there,
Yes.
I'm sorry, I do have a problem raising rates, especially right now. Is there any way that your company could not raise the rates this year and we can visit this next year? I just find it very hard to start raising rates when people are out of work. $1.40 might not be a lot, but it could mean the difference between a can of soup to somebody. I would just hope that Recology would not raise the rates this year, and we could revisit it next year. Thank you.
I have a comment, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Sanders?
Thank you. I am not a fan of raising rates either. I made this pretty clear last year. The hike was very high. I do have to say, and I'm not one to walk on issues. I got to be honest with you. But I did find solace in seeing that the customer could protest it, and even though they could protest it at that time when there was not a pandemic, we did not have a lot of people, or we didn't meet the amount to protest. So I share the same concerns that have been brought up tonight. We're in the middle of a pandemic. Is there anything else you guys can do to help the customer out and the public at large out at this time? I had a conversation with the city manager about it. I understand that, if we do not approve this, we can be in breach of contract. That does concern me. And again, I hate to waffle on issues. I wasn't there when this was approved in the beginning, but I can't find it in myself to hike any amount in the middle of a pandemic and put more of a burden on the public right now. Those are my thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Sanders.
Mr. Mayor, I do have one speaker from the audience.
I was going to have Kathleen answer any of the questions first before we take audience.
Thank you.
Sure, and I certainly appreciate the concerns, and I have them as well. And I just want to clarify, it wasn't clear if the council member was thinking I was with Recology. I am not with Recology. I am Integrated Waste Management Manager of the JPA. So I just wanted to clarify, Carl Minnie, who is the controller for Recology, could perhaps respond to some of your questions, but I did want to just revisit something that Councilmember Resendez said, and Councilmember Spencer, is because this is an agreement, a contract that City of Hollister signed with Recology, the annual adjustment is what the council agreed to. So it is a discretionary increase. It is an increase to pay for the costs that are clearly outlined in the franchise agreement. I know it's not the answer you want, but it is a contractual agreement, and it's not a discretionary cost. These are the costs to pay for Recology's drivers and to dispose of the waste and and processed materials. It's not a discretionary cost.
Kathleen, thank you for clarifying that you're not an employee. I think a lot of times people that were not involved early on don't know that, and I do appreciate all the hard work you did do to make this, all of the parties would try to work together. I have my concerns that I've stated in the past. It's clear that there is a contract that's been signed, and as Councilmember Resendez pointed out, there is an option of the homeowners protesting, and 50% plus changes the increase. So, but as Al mentioned before, it would be great if Recology can do something, especially at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And Carl Minnie, if you're on the line, if it's agreeable, perhaps he can respond to some of the many things that he is doing. I went over that fairly quickly, but if that's agreeable to the mayor and the council for him to respond to some of these questions, I have emailed him. I know he's on the line, so
Yes,
if that was agreeable.
absolutely. Thank you.
Carl, if you're on the line. Let me just, I'm sorry, I know this technology is a little.
Carl, go ahead.
So Carl Minnie is, like I said, regional controller for Recology. He had registered, thanks to Christine and Daisy for providing us to raise his hand, but it looks like he's not responding to the questions.
His hand's raised. Carl, you need to unmute yourself.
What's that?
There you go.
Can you hear me?
Oh, perfect.
We can hear you now. Thank you, sir. Go ahead. Carl, go ahead and speak.
Carl?
Still muted.
Carl, go ahead.
Carl, you need to unmute yourself and go ahead.
All right, why don't we take the comment from the audience, from the public?
Good evening. If anybody's going to remember, it'll obviously be Mayor Velasquez that'll remember that I've been advocating against Recology from the very beginning. I voiced my opinion every time I had the opportunity to come up here before the council members. And it was noted at the time, or I made a statement at the time, that Recology was known to when as soon as they got a contract, they would come back and they would increase their prices. They said, no, it was not true, and it's happened. This is hello?
Yeah, hold on for a second, Carl. Hang on for a second.
Do you want me to continue?
Go ahead.
Okay. Anyway, like I was saying, Recology has a history, and they sold themselves saying that they had reduced the prices. They reduced the prices for residential, but they increased the prices for businesses, and it looked great. Unfortunately, the city got into the contract. I was against the contract. I was against the contract for the county to get it. They got it. And now they've come back a second time. The last time they came forward, I think maybe this is the third time, maybe this is that they've asked for a raise. If my math is correct, they are now at 42.6% higher. They have increased their rates by 42.6% from when the contract was drafted. I can assure you that Recology's employees are not getting a 4.5 rate increase in their salary per year, and that they're coming back and just saying, oh, well, it's only 4.5%. Well, it's 4.5% plus the 38.1% that it was before that it totaled up. I have had meetings with Recology myself, personally gone to their offices, and they've discussed this with them. This is not the time. Recology can, at this time, place a stay for any pay rate increase. It's not because it's contractual, but they themselves can put the contract and stay at the price that it's at, and maybe they can come back next year. Because this economy that we're in right now, with a lot of people not being able to afford $1.40 more per month, is going to really hurt their pockets. Now, we were just talking about giving money to the homeless. This economy that we're about to hit, this recession we're about to hit, is going to put more people in those food lines at the Harvest food bank and with the homeless people. I request Recology to reconsider and put yourself in a stay. If not, we will advocate to get more than 50% under the Prop 218 to reject this increase. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Carl, can you speak? Can we hear you? Can you try to speak again, please? Carl, you were on the line there for a second.
Mr. Mayor, may I make a suggestion?
Go ahead, Mr.
How about
Rusin.
now?
Yep,
We can hear you now. Go ahead.
Okay, sorry about that. I have a little technical difficulty with my computer. So I definitely appreciate everybody's concern with the timing of when this rate increase is getting notified and then going into place would be July.
Lost you.
lost you again.
Carl, we can't hear you.
I was gonna suggest, Mr. Mayor, if we can.
Go ahead, Councilmember.
First of all, I want to state my position. I understand we're under a contractual obligation, and I am not in a position to put our city in any type of a liability at this point. I also want to make it clear that I don't necessarily agree 100% with the hikes right now. What I would suggest is if we can get a clear answer from ecology and bring it back at a date certain, and hopefully we can find some type of leeway in the contract to give the customer a break at this time.
Councilmember Sims, I think that's a good idea. I think at this point, we hear a lot of different numbers bouncing around. I do remember that when this was being negotiated with the ad hoc committees, I was not a member of it, but I do remember the presentation by Kathleen. She could help remind us that Recology was the lowest bidder, and whether it had been Recology or somebody else, we'd be having the same conversation about these increases because that was part of the contract. I didn't like that part of the contract, but here we are, and I think your recommendation is a good recommendation. Councilor
Barrett, I may.
Is Carl back on?
Mayor, Kathleen wants to speak.
Oh, and Mr. Mayor, sorry, it sounds like Carl may be coming through. You are exactly correct that Recology, when we did the competitive procurement and the new contract started November 1st of 2018, Recology was the lowest bidder. Of the two other proposers, they were more expensive. Their proposals were more expensive, and that base rate that they proposed is the rate that they have to be held to for the 10-year contract. And to the methodology is that Recology is following the methodology that's written in the franchise agreement. I just wanted to clarify that point.
Maybe you could explain that agreement, how it was involved, and it wasn't something that, again, not to justify the rate hike here, but it wasn't something they slipped in somehow and nobody noticed. This was, again, part of the bids from all of them. And I remember all that work that everybody did on that.
Yeah, thank you. Very quickly, we had formed an ad hoc committee, and former member Ray Friend and Carson Clower were on the franchise committee, as well as two other electeds from the San Juan as well as the county, and went into excruciating detail about programs and state mandates and what needed to happen. Recology, as you know, was the incumbent. They ultimately, when they provided their proposal, they were the lowest cost, and the selection committee was of the two city managers and the county CAO were the ones that ultimately made that recommendation for Recology due to the program and due to the costs. So that was that competitive procurement. It was a long and I don't think it was a very enjoyable one for the electeds, but I think it brought us to a place to a very transparent and brought programs up to where we needed meet state mandates, because we were not meeting state mandates for our diversion programs. We're in a better position now. But again, I completely hear the council and the mayor on the concerns of the timing of this rate increase, even if it is $1 or $1.40.
Right, and just again, so we're clear on the one thing, the statement that was made of they have a reputation, or this is what they do once they get the contract. Please explain that whoever that contract was awarded to, it would have been the same deal, because that's how that franchise agreement was being worked out at the time before the choice was made.
That's correct. And I know the general manager, Phil Couchet, had, I believe, met with the speaker, because we had talked about this in the past. they do not follow any other methodology other than the methodology that's spelled out in the franchise agreement. And the rates that they, the cost that they proposed in their original proposal, that when they submitted it, they are held to those costs. The challenges that we have at this time, not only Hollister and San Juan, but really the region, is the cost of this Chinese national board, where the contamination rate for recycling is high and the processing costs are high. In prior years, some of these costs were able to be offset by recycling commodity value. Now the cost of cardboard and aluminum and many of these things have declined to such a state that it's more costly to do these collection programs, where we still have the same amount of trucks and bins. We're not having that offset of the commodity value. So a lot of factors are going into this calculation. So we wanted to add that. Hopefully Carl's IT problems have resolved and he's able to join to answer any specific questions of the council.
Okay, Carl, you back?
Oh my.
Okay, apparently they have not been resolved.
Mayor, this is the city manager. I have a question for Kathleen, if I may.
Me as well. I have a quick question, Kathleen. If this does go through.
I'm sorry, who's speaking and what?
This is Brett, Mayor. Then, one of my questions for Kathleen is, the main reason we had this on this agenda was because we needed 45 days. If we move it to the first meeting in May, you're not going to have enough, you're not going to have the 45 days that you require, correct?
That's correct. And that's why we were trying to, the Board of Supervisors is hearing the issue tomorrow, as is San Juan. The 45 days is to give Hollister property owners time to provide a test. So that's exactly right. We do need these 45 days.
Okay, that changes things. So, Mr. City Manager, so if we don't, there's no way we can put the issue out 2 weeks, is what you're saying, to allow for the public to be able to take part in the protest?
We would not be giving the public the 45 days that they need.
I'm having a hard time hearing him, but is that correct, Ms. Gallagher? If we do not approve this tonight, then we may be in breach of contract, is what you're stating, and you're not going to have enough time to allow the public to protest the height?
That's correct.
I want to, let me, if I could, answer the second part of your question. The 45 days is pursuant to the Proposition 218. So that noticing requires 45 days. So the intent was for council to hear this issue this evening, and then Recology would be sending out these public notices to Hollister businesses and residents, to allow them time throughout that 45 days to allow that June 15th public hearing. So that's not my timeline, it's us following the Proposition 218 requirement.
Would we still be able to hear this matter in 2 weeks and get a clear definition or answer from Recology, and still allow the public to protest and not have the city liable for breach of contract?
I would have to, I'm sorry, I would have to quickly look at the calendar. I don't believe that allows sufficient time for the Proposition 218.
Correct. I believe we missed it by 3 days.
Timeline. But I want certainly the council to hear that I would like, and I'm so sorry about the IT problems that Recology is having. I would like them to respond to that question, because I can't speak for the general manager nor the controller about allowing some flexibility in time. So I can't speak for Recology at this time is my answer.
I didn't see the city manager shaking his head. Brett, do you have an answer on that?
Right.
Clear answer?
Correct. By going to the May 4th meeting, we would miss it by 3 days, I believe.
Okay, you're muffled. We would miss it by 3 days?
Yeah, we would miss it by 3 days.
Okay, well, that changes things.
Okay.
May,
Well,
may,
thank you. Is there any other speakers?
yes, please. Yes, please, Mayor.
I'm sorry, who's speaking?
Carol,
Oh, Carol. Go ahead, Carol.
for the public, I want to say no, but I don't want to be in breach of contract. I just don't think it's good business for you to be going to breach of contract. This is one of those things where it's a tough decision for me. So, city manager, what's the ramifications of a breach of contract?
Yeah, it would be a lawsuit, and then I'd have to leave that over to the city attorney, what he thinks it could be.
What could be the possibility of?
Well, and I'm sorry, Councilmember Lenore, but to provide a full answer to that, I think would require a closed session, which we obviously can't do this evening.
Okay,
Can people hear me yet?
Oh, there's.
Go,
Yeah,
Carl,
we can hear
go.
you.
I'm sorry, I don't know why my mic cuts out after a while, but, Bill
Speak quickly,
Cachet,
Carl.
Oh,
I told him, speak quickly. You didn't listen. All right.
Mr. Mayor, can I say something real quick on this? If this does pass tonight, and they do end up sending out the notice for the protests, if I could please get a copy of the notice of the protest and also the number of notices that they send out, so I can, because they'll all be returned to me, and I need to figure out what 50% plus one is.
Yes.
Thank you.
Is this Christine, is that Christine speaking? I'm sorry,
Yes.
I can't tell.
Yes, please.
So, yes, Christine, the public notice is actually in the agenda packet, and that is the final notice that would be mailed out to Hollister residents.
yeah, go ahead.
This is-
May I know how many?
Yes, I've got that information, and it sounds like Carl is
Right again.
writing again, but, Christine, I don't want to, the total would be, the total would be 9,822. So 50% plus one would be 4,911.
One more time?
So for Hollister, these would, the public notices would be mailed out to 9,822 sites. That would be including residential and businesses. These are property owners. And then the 50% plus one, which would equal the majority protest, would be 4,911.
Thank you.
And I will email it to you also, Christine, just so you have that. I think
Thank
we
you.
received in the ballpark of about 154 protests last year.
Thank you.
I have another question. I have a question, just on the Rule 218. What happens when a thing fails? Is there a breach of contract then?
So the way Proposition 218 works, if the majority protest occurs, the city council would not be allowed to to authorize the rates. But if there was not a majority protest, the rates would go into the first.
But if there is a majority protest, then we're not in breach of contract, the city of Hollister.
I'm not an attorney,
Okay.
so I'm going to probably defer to the city attorney. But the way the majority protest works is if that 50% plus one, which would be 4,911.
Got it.
Notes, that the city council would not would not be authorized to raise rates. That's how that majority protest works. And this is in your agenda pack, in case you think about it later this evening, or the entire process is in your agenda.
Oh, no, I read the process. I was just wondering about breach of contract if it fails. Thank you
Sure.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Kathleen.
Thank you.
One more time, Kathleen, is my mic working?
Yes.
Yes, it is, Carl.
Quickly.
Okay. Sorry about all the problems with this. I think I've,
Go ahead and quickly.
Kathy, if I'm correct, they can vote no at the Prop 218 hearing, or when the actual hearing happens, correct?
Carl, you cut out. I couldn't understand what you were saying.
They can vote no at the 218 process.
Yes, the public comment of property, when they fill out the speaker form, they would have to note, their address and parcel number. And though city council would hear all, they would have to be a property owner to be registered as a protest letter.
But the council could still vote to not approve the rate even if there wasn't a majority, correct?
No, I mean, not the way Proposition 218 works.
Because my thought is we have some time to talk to the city manager and see what parties.
Can I ask, Carl, are you still there?
Yeah, I am.
It sounds like maybe you want a little more time so we can work something else out. Is that what I'm hearing from you?
Well, I would like to be able to actually talk through this more than just in a public forum and avoid or push this off for a full year with no consideration.
Can I recommend maybe we have a special meeting for this item? It gives us the timeline you still need. I think the city manager mentioned that the next meeting would be short 3 days, but maybe we can do something before that, the week before, if that's a compromise for everyone.
I'm available whenever it works for you.
We will do some math.
How does that look to you, city manager?
Not a problem. We'll figure that out.
Okay.
Hang on. Next
Yeah, it
week.
would have to be next week.
It has to be next week, Ignacio.
Okay, if we can get a date so we can maybe somebody can make a motion with that date certain and have a special meeting for that. And we could go through that issue and maybe get more information for all of us and allow time for the city manager to work with Carl.
To give the
I'm prepared to make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
to give the public more time, I'd like to lean on the last day, so they have time to get notice and be able to comment. Thank you.
Yeah, the notice will still be in time. That's what
Yeah.
the city manager was pointing out.
What's the last day?
So, yeah.
Next week is April 27th
But-
to May 1st.
What's the last day we can do it and still be in compliance with the schedule?
This would be 3 days short, so it has to be the 27th or
Or
the
the
28th.
28th. Okay. Are you looking for an action?
Yeah, I think if we can do that, it'll give Carl time to work with the city manager and we can have a better resolution to this. If
But
that works with you, Carl.
Before we
Or
end,
you.
I have some teleconferencing
Okay.
that want to have their hands raised, and another member of the public that would like to speak, please.
Okay. Who is it?
Kevin Henderson, please.
Given that there's some participants in Zoom who are having a hard time participating, I know Zoom offers a landline option, so please would suggest making that as a backup for someone who can't participate with their PC and microphone. Thank you.
Good suggestion.
Point well taken.
Okay, anything else? So
Roxanne
the recommendation
Stevens?
was April
Wait.
28th, but I heard you say 27th.
The 28th, but I have one more speaker, Roxanne Stevens. Give me just one moment.
Okay.
Roxanne, please go ahead.
Hi, this is Roxanne Stevens. So I wanted to speak on the GPAC item.
Oh, that's not this item. I'll call you. I'll.
That's what my comment was. So
Thank-
that's why I was checking. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so there's the date of the 28th. Is someone like a motion to move this to a special meeting for the 28th?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I'm prepared to make a motion to move resolution number 2020-78 to a special meeting of a date starting on April 28th.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you very much, everyone.
Can I ask
Thank
for,
you, Kathleen.
can I ask for clarification on a time for the 28th?
6 o'clock?
That would be good.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move to item 3. Item F3.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. Good evening. Abraham Prado, Development Services Department Planning Manager. This item, a resolution of the City Council requesting approval of an annexation agreement for the 9.103 acre property at 1070 Buena Vista Road, located north of Buena Vista Road between Miller Road to the west and Westside Boulevard to the east, came before the council on March 16th, 2020. At that time, Council Member Marjorie Richmond, may God rest his soul, was absent. He had not passed yet. And the outcome of the item on that day was a 2-2 vote, and therefore the item moved to the April 6th meeting. At the April 6th meeting, this item was also at a tied 2-2 vote. Therefore, it is scheduled for tonight. And staff wanted to address the council and indicate that on April 13th, 2020, the city of Hollister received correspondence via email from the property owner, Ms. Lori and Mr. Alan Woodall, indicating that at this time, they would like to withdraw the item until there is a full council on board. And so therefore, at the request of the property owner, staff is recommending that this item be withdrawn. Please let us know if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from council? Any speaker cards?
I have no
Motion to
speaker
withdraw
cards.
this item?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I move that we withdraw resolution number 2020-79.
There's a motion. Is there a second? Second the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We're gonna move to item F4.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. This is Abraham Prado once again. And this item also came before you on March 16th and also on April 6th, and it was a tie vote 2-2. And the city received the same correspondence from the property owners, Mr. Alan Woodall and Ms. Lori Woodall, to request that this item also be withdrawn from the council until a full council is seated. So therefore, per the request of the property owner, the staff is recommending withdrawal of this item. Are there any questions for staff?
Any questions from council?
No.
Is there any speaker cards on this one?
I have no speaker cards.
Okay, is there a motion to withdraw?
I make a
Yes,
motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we withdraw resolution number 2020-80.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. We're gonna move to item S5.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Once again, Abraham Prado with the Development Services Department. Resolution number 2020-64, approved at the regular city council meeting of April 6, 2020, approved the cancellation of all Hollister ad hoc committees except for the except for the disaster council as needed, and except for the general plan advisory committee. So in the spirit of moving forward with the update of the general plan, the resolution before you, 2020-81, would amend resolution number 2018-27 that's attached as Exhibit A in your packet. Resolution number 2018-27 was unanimously approved on February 5th, 2018 by the City Council and created the framework for the General Plan Advisory Committee, otherwise known as the GPAC. And so as part of the framework, the City Council agreed that the GPAC would consist of 2 members from the City Council, 2 members from the City of Hollister Planning Commission, and 1 member from the City of Hollister public, resident of the City of Hollister, member at large. The approval of Resolution 2020-81 this evening, if that is the desire of the City Council, would maintain the 5-member GPAC formation. However, the main change or amendment being requested tonight is that to keep the consistency on how members of an ad hoc committee are appointed, per the final whereas in the resolution tonight before you, from now on, each time a vacancy occurs in the GPAC, the City Council will ratify by a general consensus as opposed to coming back before you with the resolution. So that is what the approval of tonight's resolution would do. In addition, staff's recommendation will be, when we get to the recommendation, and that would be shortly, but staff's recommendation would be that as a general consensus, the City Council select David Huboy and Roxanne Stevens as the 2 members to serve in the GPAC representing the City of Hollister Planning Commission. And 2, as a general consensus, the City Council selects Mr. Trevin W. Barber as a member of the public. The public notice for the recruitment of the volunteer GPAC member was published on August 16th, 2019, and again on August 23rd, 2019, with the filing deadline of September 5th, 2019. And the City of Hollister received 1 application from Mr. Trevin W. Barber. Before making the formal recommendation this evening, staff would like to say a few words about the interested applicant requesting to be the member from the public in the GPAC from Mr. Trevin W. Barber. If that's okay with the council, we would like to say a few words about him. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's okay, sir.
Very well. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. Trevin has a diverse background in public administration. He started his career working on political campaigns, but quickly developed an interest and heart for serving in a local government capacity. He started his public administration career in the finance department for the city of Lancaster, which is approximately 300 miles southeast of Hollister, assisting with budget analysis, fiscal and economic impact reports, grant tracking, and bond issues. His knack for sales and promotion led him to a position with the Economic Development Department, where he worked on attracting North America's first Chinese vehicle manufacturer, BYD, to the city of Lancaster, as well as assisting local businesses. His background in finance helped immensely when crafting the Lancaster Redevelopment Agency's $12 million long-range property management plan and winding down the affairs of the former agency. Trevin's most recent assignment before joining the city of Gilroy was in the city manager's office, where he used his knowledge of operations management to make a more perfect customer care program for Lancaster's new community choice aggregator, Lancaster Choice Energy, as well as Lancaster's Development Services Department. He also worked on special projects like integrating cannabis legalization into the city's municipal code and initiating a new predictive analytics program in partnership with Google X. Trevin received a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science from the University of California, Santa Barbara, and a Master's of Public Administration from California State University, Bakersfield. As a member of the Pi Alpha Honor Society, Trevin is also an Eagle Scout with the Boy Scouts of America, a member of Morgan Hill Bible Church, the Gideons International, and an active alumnus of the Alpha Gamma Omega fraternity. More importantly, Trevin is a family man with 2 young children, ages 4 and 2. He looks forward to spending time with his family enjoying Monterey Bay, the Santa Cruz Mountains, and Hollister Hills. I would also actually like to add that since the formation of the GPAC's framework was approved on February 5th, 2018, Mr. Trevin Barber actually has been in contact with staff approximately every 6 to 8 weeks, either calling or via email, just asking about the GPAC and when that position would be open, expressing his interest. Therefore, for tonight, staff recommends that the City Council of the City of Hollister adopt Resolution number 2018-81, 1, amending City Council Resolution 2018-27 to remove the names of the members from the City of Hollister Planning Commission to serve on the GPAC Ad Hoc Committee, and 2, select in the form of a general consensus Planning Commissioner David Huboy and Planning Commissioner Roxanne Stevens from the Planning Commission to serve in the GPAC. And 3, select in the form of a consensus Mr. Trevin W. Barber from the public, who is a resident of the city of Hollister, to serve in the GPAC. Mr. Trevin Barber was contacted about this meeting, and he should be on the line in case there's any questions for Mr. Barber, and also Ms. Roxanne Stevens from the Planning Commission as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Is there any questions from council?
Yes,
I do have some questions, Mr. Mayor.
yes, Mr. Mayor, I have questions. Thank you.
And so do I.
Okay, we'll start with, who was first?
I was
can't
first.
hear you all.
I was first, thank you.
Councilmember Lenore? Go
Yes,
ahead.
I have some questions.
Sure.
Can you tell me when did we go out advertising for the member at large for the GPAC? What publication did we utilize? How long was it, how many times was it run? If you have those dates now, cause I'm struggling with only one applicant. Not anything to do with Mr. Barber, it's not a problem, I just, wanted to know what we did.
I don't remember the dates off the top of my head.
Yes,
But-
August 16th and August 23rd, 2019.
They were published in the new freelance newspaper. And at the time, I actually had 3 applicants.
Okay.
Marty Richmond was one. Mary Paxton's husband,
Mark.
was the second, and Trevin was the third. So there was 3 applicants.
All really good applicants, yes.
I'm having a hard time because I like more selection. I would thought also too that we would interview maybe somebody that wants to be on the GPAC. We interview for my position when I came on here. I'd like to know a little more. And I want a strong planner. And I have questions for somebody that's going to steer our general plan. I'm struggling with it, so I'll wait to hear what everybody else has to say. Thank you so much.
And Carol, he is on the line, ready to speak, so,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, thank you.
And I do believe, maybe Abraham, you could clarify this, didn't he go through an interview through, your committee or something?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, so we did talk to him. In various occasions throughout, we've been in contact with them throughout this process since the very initiation of the General Plan Advisory Commission or committee framework. So since then, we've been in contact with him. He's actually been the one reaching out to us. And as of lately, when we were going to bring in this item before the city council, we were in contact with him. We did talk to him. We did get all this information that we just shared from him before you, and he did indicate that he would be willing to be on the line in case there's any questions of him by the city council this evening.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
The next person, I believe, was Councilmember Resendez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So just for point of clarification, Mr. Prado, you said that this was adopted in 2018, the process on how to form the GPAC, is that correct?
Thank you, Mr. Resendez. The framework of the GPAC was adopted February 5th, 2018, actually, unanimously by the city council at that time.
Wonderful. And then just, I'm having a hard time hearing Councilmember Lenore. She said that how many times was it published? Did you guys say that it was published not once but 2 times? Is that correct?
That is correct, Councilmember Resendez. It was published twice, one on August 16, 2019, and another time on August 23rd, 2019, and we had a deadline, filing application deadline of September 5th, 2019.
Thank you, Mr. Prado. Another question is, first let me just thank you for providing such good detail in the process and how transparent and how fair it was. Also on the details or in depth of the qualifications of the one person that we have for the member at large. Lastly, I just want to say, because I happened to be watching this process very closely because I was on the general plan. I believe I was appointed to the general plan advisory committee. Anyhow,
No, you were ad hoc.
shed some light on the process which was taken to appoint Commissioner Roxanne Stevens? Because I happened to watch that and I thought that was, in my opinion, very, very fair, transparent, can you shed some light as to what the commissioners did to appoint Roxanne Stevens to that CPAC?
Absolutely, Councilmember Resendez. Yes, so on February 5th, 2018, the City Council adopted adopted a resolution ratifying 2 members of the Planning Commission. One of them was Commissioner David Huboy, and the other was Commissioner Gabriel Torres. Commissioner Gabriel Torres' term ended in December of 2018, and he is no longer a planning commissioner. And so therefore, in April of 2019, the Planning Commission had an item on their old business, essentially requesting amongst themselves a member of the Planning Commission to be brought to the City Council for ratification to take over Mr. Gabriel Torres's place from the GPAC. And so when that occurred, at that time, it was Mr. David Huboy, who was the chair of the Planning Commission. And so his recommendation was that anybody who was interested from the 5 members present to essentially let the Planning Commission know. And so at that point, we had Mr. Kevin Henderson, who was interested in to be part of the General Plan Advisory Committee, representing the Planning Commission, and we had Ms. Roxanne Stevens as well, who was interested in being part of the GPAC. And so what Mr. David Huboy, being the chair, did was he gave each member an opportunity to speak to the planning commissioners to get their support of having a consensus or having a vote to be recommended to the City Council for ratification. And so Mr. Henderson was given an opportunity to speak, and then also Ms. Roxanne Stevens was given an opportunity to speak. I forget who was first, and then the other spoke. And then at that time, then they all 5 planning commissioners who were present ended up putting a name on a piece of paper, and they provided it to staff. Staff then counted the votes, and it was really close. But Ms. Roxanne Stevens was the one that was chosen, which is why we are bringing her here, bringing her name before you this evening.
Thank you for clarifying that. My memory jogs me a little bit, so I thought somebody had withdrew, like one of the persons had said they wanted to be an applicant and they withdrew. It might have been another commissioner, but I just wanted you to shed some light on the process. And would you say, in your professional opinion, that it was a fair and transparent process to choose those members for the GPAC?
From the Planning Commission, Mr. Resendez, I believe that was the intent of the Planning Commission, and at that time, Mr. David Huboy, as being the chair, I believe overall that was the intent, to have a fair, transparent election for recommendation to the City Council for the member of the GPAC. That is correct, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Prado.
You're welcome.
Thank you, sir. Okay, Vice Mayor Spencer, I think you had a comment also?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I have no problem with accepting David Huboy and Roxanne Stevens as part of the GPAC. However, I would really like us to republish applications. I don't like having just one person. In the last week, since the agenda came out, I shouldn't say week, of course everything's so crazy anymore. I've had several people of the community who did not know about this application process, and they are very, very interested in filling out an application. I would like to have the general public application be re-put out and have new applications put in. And I have no problem with Mr. Huboy or Mrs. Stevens being on the GPAC, but I definitely have a problem just voting for one person from the general public.
Okay, any other comments from council? Okay, so let me give my comment on this. This has been a process that has taken much longer than it needed to be. This is a project I started bringing up back in, I think, 2015, if I'm correct, about the need to update the general plan. and there was one obstacle after another, after another, after another. We finally came to an agreement, as you heard earlier, in 2018 to get this thing moving. Those members were picked. The applications were put out for the public to be involved, and that's what had happened. Those that wanted to be involved put their names in, and here we are today, still almost 2 years, a year and a half later, still talking about this. So we need to move already on this. We're way behind on this general plan, and I don't want to get into a situation where we're looking for a reason to take up more time again. We need to get this thing done sooner rather than later. Do we have any speaker cards?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, and also I believe Trevin is available to speak as well if anyone is so inclined to hear him.
If there's anybody wants any questions of him, we can ask.
Okay. I'll do the speaker cards first then.
Thank you.
Elias Salinas.
Oh, no, can't believe that? I did, I forgot. So I would agree with Councilwoman or Vice Mayor Honor Spencer with regards to reopening it up again to get some more public input. I didn't even know about this, and honestly, I don't read the freelance, so I don't know if that's the only media that must be. I guess it's only one source that can go out, and maybe that's it. I don't know if maybe it should be published otherwise. We're in a big social media lifestyle right now that I would recommend that it be redone. I think we should publish it and be placed out on social media as well, so they can reach out to more people. Like I said, a lot of people don't read the freelance. I actually pick it off the driveway and put it into the recycling bin. I think also what actually, if you want to go on a public input, and I don't know how big a committee we want, but I would strongly suggest the possibility of each council member maybe appointing someone from the public in their district that represents different areas of the city. Might be something that should be considered and taken into consideration. The way it is now, I'm looking at if this is to pass today, I'm looking at a committee that actually has been or is more towards the percentage of that it's going to slow growth completely down instead of going forward. We already have an issue right now that we can be in a lawsuit with the state of California because we are low in housing. And right now, the members that I see on this committee is not going to push forward, but it's only going to go towards the mayor's agenda of actually having no growth. And I'm really, really nervous about that. So I would ask that the council reconsider, opening up the position for other people to apply and get out there people who are interested, and if all possible, each council member should have a public appointed person from their district so that you can get a general view of the entire city and its residents. Thank you.
Thank you. And just to make a quick comment there. Perhaps you don't remember, but you had made many, many comments during these time periods at the city council about the general plan and our efforts to get moving on it. I remember quite clearly you being there, so you were absolutely aware of the process we were going through at the time. And it's saddening to think that we're going to hold up the general plan again because of a fear of, as you said, the mayor's view on this. This is something that was out in 2018. The conversation started in 2015, or maybe even 14, about moving this along. And unfortunately, at this point, our general plan is severely outdated, as everyone could agree with. And the public should not be punished by us not doing our work that we should have done way back in 15. And to say that it wasn't out there in the public in 2018 when everybody did the right thing, filled out the applications the way we asked. There was no bias in any way, shape, or form as was expressed by staff. It's a very fair process, and we need to move forward on this and not just look for reasons to stall this even more time. So thank you very much. Do we have any other speakers?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Kevin Henderson?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council. So, Mr. Mayor, I agree with you. This has been a very long process. I believe it was well over a year ago that the Planning Commission had the meeting to decide who the two planning commissioners were going to be on the GPAC. My recollection was that it was going to be David Huboy and Seth Munzer were the two original proposed, and then later Seth Munzer thought that he wouldn't be able to dedicate the amount of time because of other interests. So it was at that time that myself and Roxanne put our hat into the ring for consideration. We both gave presentations, and basically everyone gave I guess kind of a point score, maybe 0 to 5 on everyone's presentation, and then based on that, that was how the Commissioner Stevens was decided between myself and her. So just thought I'd give that input. Also, I wanted to say that I believe it was late 2018 or early 2019, there was a resolution by City Council stating that the planning commissioners would serve at the pleasure of the city council person who appointed them. I don't know when the GPAC meetings are going to start. I don't know how long the process is going to take. But we potentially have an election that's going to happen in the middle of this process. Potentially you could have members of this GPAC who are going to be told that you're no longer on the planning commission. So I just wanted to just make that known, remind you that that's also something you might want to consider. Thank you.
Thank you.
And lastly, Trevin, if you want to speak, would you raise your hand, because I do have a speaker's card for you.
Who's this?
Trevin, go ahead. Trevin Barber.
He's muted.
Not by us.
Hi, this is Trevin. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
We can. Thank you. Go ahead, sir.
Was there a specific question, or did you just want me to introduce myself?
No, there was no specific question. You just had your hand raised, so that's why they called you.
Well, I have a speaker's card for you, Trevin, so I wasn't sure if you needed to speak or wanted to speak.
Oh, no, I have no comments.
Okay.
Just available for questions.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go back. That's the last speaker. Is there a motion for this item?
Wait, I have one more hand raised. I have one more hand raised, please. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Maria Casey?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Hi, thank you for letting me speak this evening. I'll make it real quick. I just want to echo what Elena Selena said. You know, I was unaware either of the citizen representation on the feedback, and I know that it was published in the freelance from what you're saying, but there are folks that don't read the freelance. It would have been nice if it had been out there. There's a lot of social media where people talk about what's going on, and it just would have been nice if it had more options for being discovered. And I also believe that, you know, this is a really important document and should have as much input from people and have as many views reflected as it can. I'm also in favor of the idea of having one citizen from each district be a part of. I would think that, you know, it would give a broader perspective instead of just one citizen member. So I just wanted to reiterate what she was saying, that I agree with that. And I would love to see more applicants. You know, there's been a lot that's changed since 2018 as far as people's awareness. around land use and growth and planning. And I think there are a lot of people who are very interested in participating. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Did we have a,
I'd like to speak, please.
I think we had, didn't Ms. Stevens have her make a comment earlier? Was that correct, Christine?
Yes. Roxanne, did you want to speak? And also, Maria, I have you and Bill Lee for G3 for the next item.
Yes, this is Roxanne Stevens. I would like to speak if you're ready for me to speak.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
So thank you for allowing me to give a brief little comment. I want to just raise my main concern on this item, and it's just simply another delay in the process, because I am worried too that it's just been a really, really long process. There's been a lot of setbacks. Part of it was out of the control of anybody who's participating, including some of the delays that happened during the request for proposals and the contracting. So there was some things that happened that were out of everybody's control, but it has been a long, drawn out process. And I'd like to ask that we just do whatever we can to move forward on this process. I was really humbled by the support from my fellow planning commissioners to appoint me to this group, because I think it's a really important group, and I think that part of the reason why I was so interested in it, and part of what I said when I gave my presentation was my goal in participating in this committee was to really listen to the community, to not bring any of my own personal interests or any perceived biases that I might have, but really about how to bring a voice to the community, especially the Spanish-speaking community. I wanted to make sure that somebody that was on that advisory group could speak Spanish. I am bilingual, so I want to make sure that we had somebody on there that could listen directly to what people were saying, if they were coming forward and speaking in Spanish, or if they are from the Spanish-speaking only community. I also wanted to do my best to bring a conciliatory tone to the group. I'm hoping that this process happens in a way that's really methodical, where people have an opportunity to speak, where we can talk about vision for the city, we can talk about what are the primary goals, and to have those goals be really clear and specific, and so that when we move forward, we're clear on the plans that we're making for the city at large. So that was part of what I said in my speech to my fellow commissioners, and I would like to bring that to this group. Having said that, whatever the decision moving forward, I obviously respect that to participate in whichever way that I'm able to, but I just ask that we just don't delay this process longer. I agree, we have to have as much community input as possible and as much community participation as possible. So we have to find every way that we can to make sure that happens through this process as well. So whatever that means, I'm all for it, because we have to have the voice of the community. No on that committee should be the sole voice, or the plan voice should be a presentation of what the community wants. I fully support that. So that's all I wanted to say. So, and thank you, Honor, for your support. I really appreciate that.
You're welcome, Roxanne.
I have no more speakers, Mr. Mayor.
I'm sorry, no more speakers? All right. Is there a motion?
There's a comment right here. I've been asking and waiting. Thank you very much.
Say who? I'm sorry.
Carol Lenore would like to speak again.
Okay, go ahead.
There's no delay, folks. It wasn't publicized well enough. It's old. And I do not like having been handcuffed from a 2018 resolution, considering that we're just starting the general plan now. Here's what I would like to see. First of all, that GPAC committee is too little. It's too little. You need 7 to 9. You don't need 5 people. You're losing all your voice when you have 5 people. You should have 1 member from each council member and a 3 at large, at a minimum. That's how you get a good, clear picture of the whole city, not just the no growth side. You're painting yourself into a corner. You need more people, not less. So I gotta tell you, I'm not going to support this, and it's not a delay. We need to restructure the GPAC committee to be more fair. The mayor's on there, his planning commissioner is on there. My planning commissioner didn't get selected. That's okay, but we're gonna have to balance it out a little bit. And I need more people to select from. So I'm not going to support this GPAC. We have the power to change it, to make it more better, more representative of the city, to give people that other chance to apply. And then if they don't, they don't. But nobody knew about it. That's the feeling I'm getting. I'm not selecting from one person. Thank you so much.
Okay, any other questions, comments?
Got a comment, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead, Councilmember Sendis.
Thank you. We just want to remind everybody, again, just to reiterate that this process started taking place in 2018. I have been watching the whole time. I tuned in. I watched how the member at large was chosen. I watched how the planning commissioners were chosen. I think that it seems highly political, and I think it seems very strategic. And if you care so much, then why weren't you involved back then? I think it's a major slap in the face to the staff,
I was on the planning
to
commission.
the applicant, and I don't know if we'll get somebody that is as qualified as Mr. Barber. That's the truth of the matter. And for somebody who was appointed to the city council,
there we go.
Planning,
There we
I
go.
think it'd be an amazing
There we go. Okay.
To not adopting this proposal, because we're going to be left with less people than what we're originally asking for, not more people. So I just don't see how it makes any logical sense to solve it or try to stop it anymore. That is all. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
So I'll reply to Roland, please. Roland, in case you don't know, I was on the planning commission for 6 years. So I was involved. Maybe you don't get that. And bringing up that I'm appointed really is a lack of class. I was appointed. I followed the structure the way that the city set it out. I applied for the job. That's all. You wouldn't be saying that to somebody and if they were agreeing with you. But since I'm disagreeing with you, go ahead and take that shot of appointment. But you know what? I'm still on here with you, and I still have the same power. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Okay, so let's just go back. And, both of you brought up good points. And I think you just brought up a point right now, Councilmember Lenore. You were appointed to that position by a group of people, and these others were appointed by their group. Now, I mentioned earlier, this is something I thought was important way back, 2015, I'm thinking even 14, 15 at least, about the importance of updating the general plan. And year after year after year after year, there's been another reason not to do it and another excuse not to do it. A dislike for a person or dislike for a vision. We can't keep doing the same things and keep making new excuses. I mentioned earlier, one of the speakers said they had no idea about this. Well, no, they were there the whole time. I remember comments over and over by that same person about the general plan and everything else. So that's not correct. These people took their time to apply, follow the rules. Those around them chose them as their representatives for this planning commission. The people expect us to get this done, and to find ways to stall it again, it's just not right for the public. And we need to move forward. And I don't think this should be a political thing. This is, again, something that was started and approved to move forward in 2018. It was started earlier. And here we are still looking for ways to change the people on these that applied and followed the rules. It's time to get past that, make a decision so we get started on this. Our general plan is going to be over 15 years old by the time this thing is done. These are some of the reasons we're having issues in our community. And I've said before, and I'm going to keep saying, we should not be approving any projects anymore until we get this general plan done, because it is so outdated. It's not serving our community well. And the sooner we get started on it, the sooner we can get there. And there might be a few people that see it differently, but you'd be surprised what happens when the community comes together and they work together. And I totally have faith in all of these applicants. I have faith in our community to do it right, because that is what's going to happen. We're going to have the community involved. And to delay it again is not fair to this community. So I'm going to ask for a motion.
I
on
would,
this item.
You
Mr.
should
Mayor,
work with us.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to make a comment.
Go ahead, Councilor Spencer.
Okay, you keep talking about applicants. We have one to choose from right now. Unfortunately, one of the applicants has passed away, God rest his soul. The other one moved away. When there was only one left, it should have been reopened again, re-advertised for more applicants. We are not saying that we don't want Hugh Boy or Roxanne Stevens. What we're saying, and we're not trying to stall this anymore, we want more people from the public, from our community, to put in their applications. You talk about people want us to move forward. They do, but they also want to be a part of the process. By you not allowing any more applications to be looked at, you are blocking out our community members who are now very active and they want to be part of this process. I am just asking for one thing: reopen it up, get more applications. We can do this in about 3 weeks. We can have this done by the end of May at the very last council meeting. And we will have more applicants. I can guarantee you that. You want to be, you talk about the public. You don't listen to all the public. You listen to your public. There's a lot more people in this community that have a voice. And I think you need to start listening to them. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, but we're not going to go round and round on this
Okay,
again. Is
so
there
go.
a motion on this item so we can move forward, please? On resolution number 2020-81.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that we adopt resolution number 2020-81.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second? I will second your motion. All in favor? Or Mayor, you know what, let's have a roll call vote on this, just so we're clear.
Give me just 1 second. Councilmember Spencer?
No.
Mayor Velazquez?
Yes.
Councilmember Resendez?
Yes.
Councilmember Lenore?
No.
Okay, motion does not carry. Does that move us over to the commissioner committees by consensus? Or not? Can I get clarification on that?
I'm not sure the question, Mayor.
The other two items were the selection from the planning commission and for the one applicant. Does that not go through because this was not approved, or what happens next?
You can just split it up.
That was by consensus.
Abraham, how does your resolution read? What are you requesting?
Yes, so if the resolution were to be approved, then the resolution would authorize the city council to be able to appoint or select by consensus rather than coming back to with another resolution.
Each time there's
each
an
time
opening
there's
from
there's
the
an
planning
opening.
commission.
Yes,
That's not a problem,
correct. So,
Got it.
but not
Thank
the
you
other
very
one.
much. Okay, thank you very much. So that does
Thank
not
you.
pass. We're gonna move to item G1.
So, I'm sorry, if it doesn't pass, that leaves 2018-27 in effect,
Correct.
which, by the way, is David Huboy and Gabriel Torres, who's no longer on the planning commission.
They selected
So David
Roxanne.
Dubois would still be on the committee.
But you didn't pass the resolution.
No, from the 2018 one that was passed, he was approved on that one.
so the
Planning
GPAC is not
Commission
formed.
ratified
Yeah.
the appointments. The planning commission ratified their appointments. That's not a problem. That was a fair process.
Right.
We're objecting to the member at large.
So with that, the GPAC is not formed yet. We'll still have to go out and select them or put it out for advertisement.
But
that's
if you do not
Let's
adopt
step back.
this,
I'm hearing confusion here. The members of the planning commission were not approved because this resolution did not pass.
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay?
We
So
can
we're all
fix
clear
that.
on this.
That's
okay.
correct.
Okay. Now, Mr. Huboy in the past was approved previously in 2018. So his name is he is actually an approved member of this committee.
He
Yes.
doesn't have a council
Okay.
member.
Yes, so we're clear on this. Any other questions on this as we move on?
I like
All right.
David Dubois.
I'm sorry, I did not hear that.
I like David Dubois for anything planning.
Okay, that's great, but he's still on the committee. All right? But at this point, Roxanne Stevens cannot be put on because this resolution was not passed. Are we all clear on that?
That wasn't my intent. But if that's what it is, that's what it is. But that wasn't my goal.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
just so you're all clear.
Okay.
That's what happened with your decision, okay?
Oh,
So
okay,
we're
thank you for
We're
clarifying
gonna
that
move to
for
item
me.
G1, reports from city council members regarding their committees. Councilmember Lenore?
I have no committee reports. The
Okay.
AMBAG was canceled, yes. Go
Vice
ahead.
Mayor Spencer?
I had a meeting last week with MBARD. We discussed some new electric vehicles that will be reaching us, Monterey County, via a grant. We also discussed hiring and a few other things. And that's about all I have for meetings.
Thank you. Councilmember Sendes?
Nothing to report, Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Nothing to report this time. We're gonna move to informational reports from city council.
Yes,
Councilmember Lenore?
yes. I have a few items that I wanted to run by you folks. The first item I'd like to start with, and I realize the ad hoc committee for downtown revitalization has been postponed. That's not a problem. But I have to tell you, there's a couple things that we could do for downtown that I think as a council we could discuss and maybe agree. So I'd like to propose that the city manager please agendize for whenever he has time, ASAP, but I know everybody's busy, okay? I would like a discussion item for stop signs at 6th and 7th at San Benito Street. So I have several businesses that keep bringing that up, and I promised from the last business forum that I would bring it up to the council, but we were planning on doing it through the ad hoc, Marty and I. So now that's on. I really think that we could help downtown and give them their wishes and add those 2 stop signs if engineering does their evaluation and they think it'll work, I would like to bring that to the downtown. My second item also relates to downtown. I would wondered if the mayor would agree to maybe direct the planning commission to once again broach the subject of outside seating in a parklet. When I was on the planning commission, we actually got to where the Farmhouse Cafe was gonna do one, but they had to stop for personal reasons. I'd like to put some planning in place for parklets, get some criteria and some guidelines for them. Planning commission staff can be working on it and bring it to the council so that we can start doing something to help downtown and bring a little liveliness downtown. It all has to work though, so there's many things to discuss, and I think engineering plays an integral role in that subject. My third item to this evening is I would like to offer my assistance to District 4 residents. I had actually discussed with Marty when he was ill. I said, hey Marty, you want me to offer my help? He said, sure. And then he passed away. So I just want to also tell you, if you have day-to-day business that you'd like some help with, please feel comfortable to call me. I'm actually kind of good at it. My fourth item, I'd like to wish the community well. This is very difficult on all of us, and I'm really missing you folks. I'm a people person. I just want Hollister to know that I love you, and I'm really praying for downtown, and that we're going to be able to bring it back. You're very special to me. I'll work with you in any way I can. My fifth item tonight is I want to thank the Chamber of Commerce for my mask. I'm not wearing it because you can't hear me. I don't say that too often, but I got this beautiful mask from the Chamber of Commerce through a generous donation of the city and the San Benito County, and I made a little donation, but they are free, so folks, please get one. They're really cute too, and I thank the ladies that are making them very much. My sixth item tonight is I just want to make a comment regarding construction. It's been an issue in the paper, and just briefly, I can't wrap my head around the fact how you can make an affordable housing construction site okay to work in, but you can't do market rate. So it either works or it doesn't. It really shouldn't have any bearing on market or affordable, even though I do want affordable. But the argument that you can make affordable somehow safe, but market rate you cannot, just doesn't float with me. So I'm going to tell you that. Number 7, I'd really like staff to please do something with the gentleman that's camped out on Dunn Park. I've been waiting for him to go away, but it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. We have a cart ordinance. I don't like the carts. I don't want the tarp. All that. If he wants to, and you know what? You're not even supposed to sleep in parks at night. There should open at dusk, or dawn, and close at dusk. We got to do something there. I don't care what it is, but let's get something done. He's been there too long, and it's a big thing now. My 8th item tonight is I would so much like to thank Thousand Trails for sheltering in place RVers, mostly seniors, at the San Benito Preserve, all of the preserves. They stepped up in a big way. So folks rolled in, they were allowed to extend their reservations 3-4 weeks, whatever it was gonna take to keep those seniors safe. I gotta tell you, Thousand Trails stepped up in a big way for this community. That park is full. I've never seen it that full. They're doing a great job out there. My last item, and I know everybody's gonna agree with me, holy cow, what's with all the speeding? I can't even work in my yard. It's like the rally's going on. The roller cycles are even maybe better than that. Holy cow, I don't know what's going on, but all the wackos came out, and all your little hot rod cars. I'm gonna put it on the police department through my city manager. We better get some enforcement going on 4th Street, San Benito Street, and probably all the streets. It's out of control, and I'm not gonna take it. Thank you so much for listening to me this evening.
Okay. Vice Mayor Spencer?
Yes, I just want to cover on some things that are happening in our community. Sometime this week, the County of San Benito will impose a mandate for residents to have face coverings. It will follow an executive order that Fremont and other Northern California cities and counties are doing. What this means for us is this order requires face coverings to be worn at all essential businesses to help prevent the further spread of COVID-19. It does not state the words public places like or punishable by 6 months in jail and or a fine up to $1,000. There could be a fine of $100. However, this is an administrative regulation. As you all know, on April 10th, 2020, an ordinance was brought before the City Council trying to impose the same restrictions. However, that ordinance and the way it was worded was very ambiguous. I also found it very hard to impose a fine and or jail time on any person. This executive order from the San Benito County Health Department has addressed those concerns, and I do support this order for many reasons. One, this order covers all of San Benito County. The one that the city looked at just covered the city. This order is coming from the experts that work for our health department, who I may add are the only ones that should be bringing forth any type of restrictions and or orders that arise from a health crisis in our community. 3, the word misdemeanor equals 6 months in jail and or up to $1,000 fine. It's also a crime, and it is on your record. But this has been replaced with the word citation and a $100 fine. For those facing a conviction, the difference between a citation infraction and a misdemeanor are significant, and you can never judge human emotions. So we will be required to wear face coverings when going into essential businesses, grocery stores, pharmacies, gas station. The key words here are essential businesses. You can go out of your home and take a walk, a run, and be in public without having to wear any face coverings. We have the free will to make our own choices. I choose to wear a face covering when going into an essential business. I choose not to wear a face covering when I am out walking or running. And there are others that feel the same way. Please, please, community, I'm begging you, do not shame anyone on social media who chooses not to wear a face covering while out getting exercise and fresh air. It is not mandated. Second thing, I would like to, it has been brought to my attention that the senior citizens new complex over on West Side Boulevard, these people are on strict incomes, low income and everything else, and their basic cable rates are $100 a month. I think that's outrageous. Is there any way we can look into that? Are we allowed to look into something like that?
Senior discount?
That's what I'm thinking, but the basic cable rate right now for anybody living in that new senior citizen complex is $100 a month. And I think that's all I have for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Sendis.
Nothing to report, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. All right. I do want to ask staff, we look at I know our budget's coming up, but I want to make sure where we're at with the, how we're doing with our spending on the council. I know we haven't looked at it in a few years, but I want to take a look at that. And again, it's good we're going to be having the face mask requirement finally. As I've said over and over and over again, it's one of the critical parts of what we need to do to get our businesses open again. Something I have been pushing for several weeks. As you all know, it is not a requirement to wear it when you're outside taking a walk. It is not a requirement to wear it in your house, in your car, only when you're going to be at work, or again, as was mentioned, in a public place such as a store. The idea of the misinformation as far as people were going to be fined is absolutely false. I want to make sure everybody understands that. Nobody's looking to fine anybody not wearing a mask or a face cover in public. So please help us all by covering up. We're making a big difference out there. I'm proud to see so many of you doing it already and have been doing it. So you guys were the leaders, and I can't thank you all enough for being involved in that early on and not waiting for different rules to have to go into effect. So thank you again. Okay, city attorney or city manager?
Yes, I just wanted to thank our staff that just continue to do a great job during this pandemic. And then also, speaking of our great staff, you will, citizens, you will be seeing our staff going out and cleaning up sound walls and doing weed control. This is more of a safety item. With all the recent rains, the weeds will grow more than normal, and then which leads to rodent infestation. So we want to take care of that and any fire danger. So I just want to let everybody know that that will be happening here shortly. But staff will be wearing all proper protection to do the job and to social distance. Thank you, Mark.
City Attorney?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. No statement.
Okay, City Clerk?
I just wanted to let council know that I was going to have on tonight's meeting the resolution to fill the vacancy via election, to call for a general municipal election, and then to request the consolidated general municipal election, but I was unable to get that on tonight's, so I'm shooting for May 4th for that. Thank you. And I apologize.
Chief?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have nothing to report tonight.
Thank you, sir. Okay, we're going to move to item 3, the appointment to the general plan. I'm going to appoint council member Resendez to that GPAC committee. And that is it. Any questions or comments?
That's not it. Nope,
Do we
nope.
have any speaker cards on that item?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I have 2 speaker cards.
Go ahead.
Maria Casey. Maria, go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you. I have a question. First, before I speak, I just wanted to know, I thought there was more than one city council members to sit on the committee. So is there one already or not?
Yeah, the mayor.
There is going to be one. There will be 2 council members.
So you, at this point in time, you're just talking about one, or are you talking about filling the other position?
No, I'm one of the members of that committee.
Okay, gotcha. All right. So with regard to that appointment, it's really important to have a balance of perspectives, and my understanding, well, and just from, hearing things that you said, Mayor, you are, kind of anti-growth, and I would like to see a variety of perspectives.
That's incorrect. Let me just make sure you're clear on that. That's incorrect. But go ahead.
All right. I think that both Councilwoman Lenore and Spencer would be great choices. But given that Councilwoman Lenore's tenure is coming to an end, I believe that Councilwoman Spencer would be a good addition to the GPAC and would balance perspectives. So I urge the council to appoint her.
Okay, thank you.
Bill Lee. Bill, please go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Go ahead, sir.
Okay. Mr. Mayor and council, yeah, the GPAC's really important for our community. Really, really important. I know you guys want to get this going, and I do agree that it needs to get moving, but doing it right is far more important because it has such major implications on the entire future, really, in our lifespan. I really would encourage you to get a variety of people onto the GPAC committee. I think the idea of having every council member appoint a citizen out of their district is a great idea to create some diversity. Obviously, there's diversity of opinion in the council, and that's good and that's healthy that you guys don't always agree on everything. I do think Mia just commented, that Vice Mayor Spencer would be a good choice to represent the council. I think having both the mayor and the vice mayor would be a good move. And I realize you may have already made your decision, and if it is, so be it. But I do think that and I just want to encourage publicly that the more diversity that you can create, the better thought out you're going to get for a general plan. You're going to have more ideas floated in the room, and just because the ideas are floated doesn't mean you have to take them. But by having those ideas in there, you create that inclusion for the entire community. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other?
I have no more speakers, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you for the comments. I think we had a.
I'm sorry, I do have one more speaker, Mr. Mayor. I have Elias Salinas.
Go ahead.
Elias Salinas would like to speak on this.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I'm going to agree with both Mia Casey and with Bill Lee with regards to having different perspectives. It's common knowledge, and it cannot be denied, that both you and Councilman Resendez seem to align when it comes to this council on decisions, and I think it's in the best interest of the entire community for you to go ahead and appoint yourself, and Vice Mayor Honor Spencer would be a great idea. It would definitely open it up, and it would be very transparent. That's what you're always talking about, is you want to be transparent. Well, here's your opportunity to be transparent, to make sure that the opinions, different sides of opinions are going to be considered. And it would be, like I said, in the best interest to appoint Councilwoman Honor Spencer along with you. Or if you choose not to be on it, you may do so and go ahead and you can appoint Roland Resendez. But the both of you being on it and aligning yourselves in the same ideas, same viewpoints. We know every time we come up here, we come before you with different housing projects and different things. You both are always on the same page. So being transparent and showing the public that you are open to different viewpoints, then I strongly recommend that you go ahead and you choose Vice Mayor Honor Spencer. Thank you.
Is there any other speakers?
I have no more speaker cards, and I have no hands raised, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much. So, yeah, exactly right. We want to be transparent. I want somebody who's transparent and listens to the community. And my choice is Councilmember Resendez for this position.
No, you have to ratify by consensus. This is not an appointment just by you. And we are not giving Marty Richmond's seat. I don't care. I can go louder. We're not giving Marty Richmond's seat to Roland Resendez. Ratify by consensus. You do not have a consensus. You're not ending this on your tone. You do not have a consensus.
Lenore, hang on a second. Let's go through this again. I get to choose who that person is as mayor.
No, you don't.
And
no, you don't. Ratify by consensus. You are not the consensus. You are not the consensus. There's four. It's not your decision. Nope. No, you're not. We're not giving Marty Richmond's seat to Roland Resendez. You have to go by consensus. You don't have a consensus. Can I have the interpretation, please? I will seek. I just did. Now we're going to seek the advice of the city attorney. Thank you.
City attorney, can you please explain?
I'm going to request that we take, I realize it's very late, a 2-minute break. I'd like to have a conversation with someone just real briefly in private, and then perhaps we could come back. Would that be allowable to the council?
Thank you, sir. Go ahead and take a 2-minute break.
Okay, thank you.
ready to resume, yes?
Okay. All right, City Attorney, do you have anything else you want to add?
Not at this time, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Again, I'll repeat my
I want to add one thing, that the 2018 resolution said ratified by the city council. Therefore, appointments shall be ratified by the city council. I don't have the third vote to pull it off, and you should be ashamed of yourself.
No, what we should be ashamed about is that it's this many years later and we're still looking for ways to stop it. So my choice is Councilmember Resendez. Thank you very much.
You're not welcome.
There is no business. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion, is there a second?
You second it.
Who's the second?
You are.
There is no second.
They don't want to adjourn the meeting. Is that correct, Councilor Lenore?
She has left.
Take care of it.
Vice Mayor Spencer, will you second the motion?
I will unhappily do this because I think what you're doing is a shame to this community. If anybody's stalling the general plan, it'll be you, Ignacio Velazquez and Roland Resendez. I second the meeting ends.
A second, please. Is there a second?
I seconded it twice.
Yes.
Okay, motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Good night, thank you.